Okay, I am going to go ahead and get started. We'll probably have a few more people join, but I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the introduction here. First of all, just a few housekeeping items. All participants are muted. And to ask a question, please use the chat box or the Q&A, and I will be monitoring those and interject those at good opportunities during the presentation. The slide presentation and the workshop recording will be sent to all registered participants, so expect that later on today. You will also receive a survey, and we would appreciate you taking a few minutes to complete that. That is good information for us and just helps us to make things better for you all. My name is Lori Stein, and I am a SCORE volunteer. For those of you not familiar with SCORE, we are a nonprofit and 100% volunteer-based organization. We are a resource partner for the SBA. We provide both these workshops and one-on-one mentoring that is free of charge. So if you are a small business just starting up, or if you are already in business and have a few questions and want some mentoring help, feel free to log on to our website and sign up for a mentor. I will be also reviewing a little bit more information on that at the end of the presentation. We are here to help small businesses in any way we can. Here is our website as well, piedmont.score.org, and you will receive the presentation with all this information. Okay, so we thank you for attending. Today's topic is what you need to know when purchasing commercial insurance. And we have Steve Pardue here from Countybank, and he will be sharing his knowledge on this topic. And again, as you have questions, feel free to put those in the Q&A or the chat box, and I will monitor those. Steve is Vice President, Commercial Insurance Advisor for Countybank. He lives in the Five Forks area of Simpsonville with his family, and has been in the insurance industry for 20 years on both the company and agency side. So he has a wealth of information to share with us. He is a certified insurance counselor and risk manager. He works with Countybank Insurance as an independent insurance agency that's part of Countybank. As a commercial insurance advisor, he helps his clients make informed decisions when it comes to their insurance and risk management. Okay, I am going to go ahead and turn this over to Steve. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Lori. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you well.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here today, and we'll try to do my best to just give an overview of the commercial insurance marketplace, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns that some of you on the call here might have or are just curious about. So, Lori, if you would go ahead and go to the next slide. So really, four things that I thought would be helpful today would just be to address and go over the ways that business or commercial insurance coverages can be purchased, what coverages should you buy and why, how you can get the most competitive insurance premiums, and then we'll have an opportunity to answer any questions. So starting off with how insurance can be purchased for your business, small, medium, or large. There are individuals throughout our area here in the upstate called independent insurance agents, and that's what I am. We contract with multiple insurance companies, and we can help our clients find and place the insurance coverages they need, and really be their intermediary between the insurance company underwriters and the business owner, to just kind of help give good advice, answer questions, talk about coverages, premiums, and all that sort of thing. When there are claims or other insurance company services that are involved, we can help try to declutter what that looks like and help you focus more on what you're doing every day and let us handle, some of those day-to-day insurance things. There are other individuals in the insurance marketplace called captive agents. And a lot of these folks are folks that work directly for an insurance company. State Farm or Allstate as some examples of those. And typically, those agents will only represent one company. There's nothing right, wrong, or indifferent there. It's just kind of how they're set up. There's a growing amount of online insurance platforms now where you can enter in the different aspects or characteristics of your business, and those online insurance platforms will underwrite and issue a quote, provided it meets eligibility requirements, all online. So those are options. And then finally, some industries have industry associations, and those associations in some cases will have some or many insurance coverages that you can acquire from that association. So those are really kind of the four different ways that probably most businesses are buying their insurance. So Lori, I'm ready to go to the next slide. So oftentimes, when we're talking with an upstart business or a sort of new business that's just in the process of growing, there's often some curiosity about what insurance coverages do I have to have, which ones should I have, and then just why do I need those coverages? Starting off, any time there may be a lending scenario where you're working with a bank or a credit union or any type of entity out there that might be loaning you money, they might often require that you provide evidence of maybe what basis they're lending that money on, that it's insured, such as property, which could be even a little bit more detailed with building, contents, machinery, equipment, raw materials, inventory, accounts receivables, etc. And that's typically just called commercial property insurance. General liability is often another pretty common one. And basically, this is just going to allow the insurance company to defend you or your organization in the event that a third party makes an allegation that you were in some way liable or negligent in causing bodily injury or property damage. It'll also provide property damage coverage if you are renting a location for your business operation. It cover your products and completed operations if there were to be some bodily injury or property damage sustained by a third party, as well as what we call personal injury, personal and advertising injury. South Carolina requires workers' compensation if you have 4 or more paid workers. And paid workers is, kind of a broad category, as that can include W-2 employees, owners, officers, and even uninsured subcontractors. So that last group might be individuals that are paid via a 1099. If they are not able to provide you as the business owner that they carry workers' comp, then there's a chance that you could still be required to provide workers' comp for them, even though they're not a W-2 employee. And that's something that we've kind of seen over many years in the state. I'm certainly not an attorney, but I've heard in the legal profession it's called the Upstream Rule. That basically, if the 1099 worker looks, walks, talks like an employee, then they're going to be afforded some of the same benefits that an employee might have, particularly when it comes to workers' comp. And workers' comp is just going to pay for work-related or injuries or illnesses, I should say, that occur while in the course of employment. It covers medical bills, loss of wages, rehabilitation, and even death. We're seeing or I am seeing, or our agency is seeing, quite a significant rise in what we call contractual risk transfer. And this is really an attempt by your vendors, your customers, to transfer liability that you might cause away from them. And so the reason I have that bullet point in there is that your customers may have additional insurance that they require of you when you do business with them. They might ask for something called a certificate of insurance. And that's something that your insurance agent can help you evaluate and maybe even push back on if some of the requirements are, somewhat one-sided or really not reasonable. Oftentimes, when you're buying a building or you're moving into a building, there may be a period of time before you're fully into it where you need to do a renovation or you need to do an upfit of some kind. You can get a special kind of property insurance to cover that building or space during that period of time while those renovations are ongoing. Be somewhat straightforward, but if you have any business-owned vehicles that are titled and used in the business, those will need to be insured. And then the last bullet point, I've just laid out a number of other insurance coverages that many businesses will buy in addition to some of the ones that I've previously mentioned. Cyber liability, that's certainly a pretty hot button right now. Umbrella or excess liability. So we can even wait until the question section, and I'm happy to to drill down on any of those or provide a little bit more explanation that you may have or just may be curious about.
Okay.
All right, Lori, next slide. So I was thinking that there may be some interest in ways to, kind of minimize what your insurance costs are, because a lot of times when you're starting up a business, you need liquidity for lots of things. And, you don't necessarily might want to, pay any more than you have to when it comes to things like insurance. And some ways to kind of chip away at those premiums, particularly on the property side, could be with higher deductibles. For example, you might, instead of having $1,000 or a $500 deductible, you may increase that to $2,500 or $5,000. Certainly not going to be a dollar for dollar premium savings, but they can certainly help reduce the overall insurance premiums. Comp, South Carolina allows for a 5% drug-free workplace credit when it comes to workers' compensation. And really, that's just a one-page form where you would go through as the business owner and just check off, boxes that say, hey, we have a drug policy here. We do pre-hire and post-accident drug testing, and a couple of other things. But that's, a free 5% credit that you can get on workers' compensation. Some companies may offer a multi-policy discount. Many of us are familiar with that on the personal line side, but it's kind of encroaching and making its way into commercial insurance as well. And so you might, if you wrote an auto, workers' compensation, and then maybe a property policy, they all might receive discounts for the other policies. And then some companies are also doing a paid in full discount. So if you pay the full annual premium up front, they may give you a 10 to 15% discount on the total premium. The final two bullets on that screen aren't necessarily guarantees that the premium is going to be lower, but it's more of just a recommendation that whoever you end up working through, especially if you go through an agent like myself, make sure that individual has a pretty good understanding of what it is your business does. You know, if you're making something, how's it made? Where are you getting the raw materials or the component parts from? Who are you selling it to? You don't have to really give away trade secrets or anything, but it just helps for the underwriters to know, like, okay, what is our actual exposure here? Like, if this product fails or if somebody does a bad job, like, what is our potential liability? And then part of that is kind of thinking about most likely events that could lead to a financial loss. Um, like a worker tripping and falling, or a product's liability claim, or a really bad auto accident because you may have a business that has a lot of vehicles on the road. All of those things kind of go into getting the best possible coverage at the most competitive premium. Lori, I thought I saw one question
Yes,
pop up.
there is, and it's from Terry, and he asked, do you have to have separate commercial insurance to cover your personal car if used for work, in addition to personal use? And is there some kind of rule on this?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Terry, and it comes up quite a bit. The first kind of thing we would ask for is the vehicle titled in your personal name, and it sounds like it might be, or is it in the business name? If it's in your individual name, what some businesses will do is they'll draw up a simple lease agreement where the business is, the business is leasing the use of that vehicle from the individual. And it could be as simple as, hey, we're paying this individual $1 a year to lease this vehicle. And then you'd want to just make sure that, the insurance company is okay with that. And typically I find that they are. But that's one way, to maybe get the commercial insurance to cover the vehicle that's owned personally. That can't always be done, but typically it's doable when it's the business owner that has that. So I don't know if that's helpful. There are other solutions that can be available, just depending on, if, like, there's no personal insurance example for the vehicle, you can insure it through the commercial policy. And that's something that, we can talk about offline if we don't have enough time today, Lori, to delve into that.
Okay. Did I hit all the slides? I think I did here.
Yeah, that was all.
Okay. Okay.
Insurance can be one of those things that can seem to be, pretty simple, and in some cases it is, but it can have some complexity as you get, down into some, as you get, deeper into some issues. And we always feel like that's kind of our job, is to just help our clients make informed decisions, when it comes to their insurance and risk management. Just trying to give them the best counsel. But if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer those. And that's my email and cell phone there. You're welcome to reach out to me after today, and I'll do my best to provide any information that I can to help you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions at all for Steve? Okay, let's see here. Looks like Miranda raised her hand. Miranda, did you have a question? Can you type it in the chat or the Q&A? We'll give her a minute.
Sure,
here we go.
sure.
Here's in the do you work with people who deal with tax offices?
Yes, we do. We do. There are, a number of insurance. Well, there's one or two, insurance coverages that are, specific to industries that are considered more professional industries like accounting or legal, where, you have to have or you should have something called errors and omissions or professional liability insurance. And that's something that we can help with. And that's in addition to just the normal property and general liability coverages, workers' comp, and that sort of thing. But yes, we do work with CPAs, accounting firms, accountants.
Okay, looks like a couple more in the chat. This is from Teresa. How much do you recommend for liability coverage for food production, like snacks?
Sure, that's a great question, Teresa. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned something called general liability insurance, and 9 times out of 10, Teresa, those are going to be issued with a per occurrence limit or $2 million, just depending on the policy form. And what that means is that the maximum the policy would pay would be 1 or 2 million should a third party get injured and they were to sue you and they were to claim that you were negligent in some way. So I would recommend at least $1 million, but some companies will offer as much as 2 million. And so that's how much I would recommend for you.
Okay, and then let's see, we have another one from Ching. And do you work with landlords regarding a tenant getting hurt at rental property?
Yes, we do. We do. And that honestly would kind of piggyback off of Teresa's question. General liability insurance would also be the coverage that would, respond or be the remedy to that type of thing. Because in today's climate, anyone can really sue another for any reason at all. And so that's kind of where it gets a little hairy because, sometimes it's less expensive to just kind of transfer that risk to an insurance company and let them kind of hash it out or fight with that third party tenant, what have you.
Okay, then there's another from Eric. Are there any red flags to look out for when vetting insurance companies / agents?
I think it's always good to ask for references on the agency side, or the agent side, and that's something that any agent who's been doing it for a while, they'll have, they'll have some good references. It's never a bad idea to ask, like, hey, do you work with other businesses that look like me? Because if they have, they'll probably have some war stories that they can share without, giving away private information that, maybe their clients wouldn't want them to share. On the insurance company side, there is a service out there called AM Best, like A is in Apple, M is in Mary, and then Best, BEST. They have long been a company that just kind of rates the financial strength of different insurance companies. And they will typically give out grades for those insurance companies that kind of start at the best at A+ and then go down from there. Most insurance agents like myself would never work with a company that gets less than an A- rating. Once you start getting into B+ or B ratings, there are examples where those companies just are not very financially strong. And even though they might offer a more competitive premium, they're probably less likely to be there at claim time, when you want them to be. So those would probably be 3 things that you might look to evaluate when it comes to just, deciding on who you want to work with. And, I think another thing is what kind of questions they ask. Are they just going to ask superficial questions of like, hey, What are your sales? You want to work with someone, I think, that wants to understand what you do, because the better they understand what you do, the better they can advocate for you.
Okay, good. Victoria has a question. Is insurance required for an online coaching business where there's no physical location or building?
So that is a good question. And we're seeing more of that as more people, kind of work remotely or virtually. The only time it would be required, Victoria, is again, if you're renting somewhere and a landlord requires it, even though you may not actually have people coming to your location. But in an online coaching model, general liability insurance is really not going to provide you any real benefit at all. The only type of insurance that you might consider is something called professional liability or errors and omissions. If you're giving some kind of coaching based on some an education or a certification or something like that you have that kind of makes you qualified to give that coaching or give that advice. You could certainly imagine a scenario where maybe a customer or somebody you're coaching says, oh, well, Victoria gave me, bad advice, and that caused me to, suffer this type of damage. That might be something where professional liability would at least defend you or hire an attorney on your behalf and potentially pay damages if they were able to prove that, you failed to render a professional service.
Okay, good. And she said, thank you for your honest answer.
Sure.
And, and Teresa said,
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, Teresa said thank you as well. I think we are caught up with the questions. Anyone
Great.
have any additional at all? Well, you can feel free to type them in. I'm just going to go over a few conclusion slides, and if something else pops up, Steve will stay on till the end and we will answer those. Okay, so okay, and again, you will receive the copy of the presentation and the recording, and you'll have Steve's contact information within the presentation, so you can reach out to him directly if you would like. And just again, I just wanted to just give you a little bit more information on SCORE. Again, we are free and local, and you can get personal, confidential, one-on-one access to individuals that have just the expertise that you need. If you go onto our website, you can sign up for a mentor, and we will assign you to an individual. If that person can't help you with a specific area, they will call on other individuals within the chapter that can. So it's a very good service. And even if you just have a few questions, you can reach out, sign up, and we will connect you with that mentor. So you can go onto our website to do that. And then also we are always looking for volunteers. So if you don't need a mentor, but you're interested in volunteering and sharing some of your expertise, that is always welcome. Because again, we are totally 100% volunteer based. We have over 10,000 volunteers and 270 plus chapters across the US. So we look for mentors, workshop presenters, moderators, social media experts, communication experts, or any other subject matter expert. So if you would like to get involved, again, go to our website and you can sign up as well to be a volunteer. And on the website, also the workshops like today, we have a calendar that shows pretty much out. Everything is on that calendar that we have scheduled through the end of the year. So you can access that calendar and just click on the topic, and that will allow you to register directly. So we do have some good content between now and the end of the year. Steve has provided us a lot of good information, and hopefully we can bring him back on again before the end of the year to present this again. So Steve, thank you so much. This was very, very valuable. And we appreciate your time today.
Happy to do it.
Okay, does not look like there's any further questions, but thank you all for attending. And again, this will be sent out to you with the recording. If you would like to contact Steve directly, you will have his information. So we appreciate your time, and make sure that you visit our website for other services. Thank you all and have a great day.